there, welcome to VCode's 100 Days of Coding Challenge. Today is day 2 of the phase 2 and let's see the question number 2. So the question is, extend the previous employee class to include a subclass called manager. The manager class inherits from the employee and adds a field for the department managed. The description is given, create a manager subclass inheriting from the employee with an additional field for the managed department. Implement constructors to initialize these details. So here the input format is given. Here the details would be the manager details, which are name, ID, department and managed department. The output would be all this information. We are also given with the test cases. So if you are given with the name, ID, department and managed department, then we have to display the manager details like this in this format. So here there is this new concept called inheritance. So firstly, let's quickly dive into the previous code which we written for the employee class. I'll open that class. So I have opened the employee details file. So here I have declared the public class employee details and then written the main method here. We have the class called employee, which has all these attributes called name, ID and department. We had used the getter and setter methods to set and modify the variables, different variables present for the objects, and then I've also created a constructor for this class to set the values for the objects. And then I would also written the method for the display info, which would display the basic info like name, ID and department for any employee. So this was it. So here inheritance in Java, it's similar to the inheritance in the real world. So what happens in the real world? So if there is a child, so the child acquires all the properties from his parents, right? So in similar way, in Java, there is a parent class and we can create a child class which can inherit all the properties, variables, methods, everything from its parent class. So this parent class is also known as the superclass in Java or base class. And the child class is also known as the derived class or subclass. So here this employee is a parent class and we need to create a child class called manager. So let's quickly create one child class. So we will write in similar way, we would write class and then the name of the class, which is manager. Here we are going to use a new keyword called extends. So extends. So what it is extending? So what it is inheriting from? So it is inheriting from the employee class. So this is a child class which extends the employee class. So this extends keyword is used to inherit the properties. So this is the superclass and this is the child class. Superclass is same as the parent class. Now in this method, what attribute do we have? We have the department managed. So let me create a string and department managed. So this is the new attribute for this child class. Okay. So now let me quickly create a manager in the main method. So manager, let me name it as M1 and new to create a new manager and then the constructor. So I will pass all the details inside the constructor itself. So let me give the same details, Sarah, the ID as M123, the department as operations and then this as logistics. This is the managed department and that's it. So I have created a new manager here, but you can see as the default constructor doesn't have any parameters, it is showing some red error. So we need to define it. So now I'll create a manager constructor here, the manager, and this would have few parameters. So what are they? First one is the name, the string name, and then the next one is the ID, the string ID, and then we have the string department, and lastly we have the department managed. So these are all the details we have. So now it's time for us to quickly assign these parameters to the object. So how did we did that in the previous class? So we had used this keyword, right? So let's use that here itself, here also. This dot name equals name, this dot id equals id, and this dot department equals department, and this dot department managed equals department managed. That's it. So you can see some error here again. So the field employee.name is not visible. But here, as we had already defined in the public, so we had already defined these variables inside the parent class, right? So we don't need to declare them here again. But instead, we can use a keyword called super. So this super keyword is super useful in the inheritance concept. What does it do? So this super keyword helps us in retrieving the properties of the parent class. Here, what are all the properties present in the parent class? So they can be either variables, so we can access variables using the super keyword. We can access methods using the super keyword. Also, we can invoke the constructor using the super keyword. So here we are in need of invoking the constructor of the employee class. So super, so it would go like this, and then name, and then ID, and then department. So this super with braces is to invoke the constructor. So this invokes constructor of parent class. So here the parent is employee. Whenever we pass this name, ID and department into the super keyword, directly this employee constructor is called. It is invoked and the parameters are assigned to the object using this keyword. That is super useful for this inheritance concept. Now, and we can assign this department managed using this keyword because it is present inside this class itself. So that's it. And now it's time for us to write the display info method. So it can be void display info. Now we can write the print statement. So let me write manager details and plus. So what is the first detail we need? So it is name, right? So name. So I can write it name, but you can see we had declared the name as private, right? So how do we retrieve the name from a private variable in another class? So we can use the get name method. So I can write here. So it is here in the manager class. So get name. So I had used the get name to get the name. Now I can also call the get ID to get the ID, and then what we have is the get department to get the department, and then finally we have the department managed, which was initialized here only inside this class. That's it, and this can be made as public. Simple, right? And now finally, after writing everything inside this child class, I am going to print all the details for this manager I created. So m1 dot display info. This display info will be called for this object. So whenever this object is created, we had assigned all the values for it like name, ID, department and department managed. And then we can display those details using the display info method inside this class. So now it's time to run the code. Let's run the code and check. So firstly compile the file, employee details.java and Java employee details. So you can see here a manager is created whose details are Sarah, M1 to 3, operations and logistics. So you can modify the output according to the question given. So this is the basic idea of how to solve this question. Here in this video, we had checked on the concept called inheritance. We had learned about the extends keyword and super keyword, which are super useful for the inheritance concept. So stay tuned for the 100 Days of Coding Challenge of VCode. Thank you for watching.